Hello and welcome to the Bee Shifter Podcast. I'm John Vance, your host. I'm actually home, hanging out for Labor Day weekend. Hopefully you're going to be able to spend a little bit of time with your friends and family this Labor Day. This is Thursday, August 28th. And as we're gearing up for the Labor Day holiday, we thought we'd bring you a podcast today from the Silverbacks. This is more advice from our Silverback Leadership Series on Blue Card on the site for Blue Card ICs. This is part of our continuing education modules. But if you haven't started that yet, or if you're not on Blue Card, this will give you a little taste of what the Silverback Leadership Series is all about, what we're talking about, and some of the relevant topics that we have for today's fire service. And today we'll be talking about things like strategic planning and what you should do as a leader, especially the fire chief. If you have a strategic plan, talking about it, communicating it, how important it is to communicate it on a continuous basis. It's just not one communication and done. Or as Pat Dale's going to talk about, you make the plan, you put it on a shelf, and no one ever revisits it again. It really, truly needs to be a roadmap for your organization. The other thing we're going to talk about is how that vision and planning really works into the culture of your department and how it helps shape the culture of your department, because it really starts to define what is acceptable for your department, not only in behavior, but also in performance and service that you're going to provide. And that's part of that be nice. We say be nice all the time. Of course, it's one of Bruno's tenets that he always talked about. It sounds simple. It isn't always so simple for everyone. And then the added value customer service that we give. So that's coming up in just a moment as we throw it to the Silverbacks on today's Bee Shifter podcast. Before that, just want to give you a couple of reminders. The Blue Card Hazard Zone Conference is coming to Sharonville, Ohio. We'll be there September 29th through October 3rd. We still have, I think, just a couple of seats in most of the workshops if they're not full already. And then plenty of seats for our general session. So we'll just keep adding chairs for those. But we want you to get signed up, especially for accommodations, because I believe both hotels are almost sold out. I think the Hyatt is, but one of them is and one of it isn't. But go to bshifter.com, click on the conference, get all the conference details there. We're very excited for that. We'll have some giveaways there. We're excited to bring on some new partnerships this year. We've got Duty to Act coffee that we'll be giving away some prizes from at the conference as we go to you. Again, the traffic noise here. Everyone is getting out of town for the holidays, so pardon the noise. We'll be done with the noise in just a second. So we'll see you there, and hopefully it's going to be a chance for you to get out and get some fresh perspective on leadership and command issues of the day. So we have 23 top-notch instructors delivering a lot of classes to choose from on the general session days for you to kind of customize what your learning experience is. As soon as you get registered, we'll send you a link to the app so you can start planning that out. Also, we are really happy to announce that Waldorf University is a partner with us. They're going to be at the conference this year. And if you go to bshifter.com and go to our conference page, you can click on the link there, or go to the show notes and click on the link, and you can go to Waldorf and see how your Bee Shifter certifications actually articulate into credits. Of course, we're ACE accredited, but if you're looking to seek higher education for yourself, Waldorf's the place to get that started. And also some of your Bee Shifter education will transfer right over. And we're going to continue that partnership and continue to add what we have credits for. So Waldorf University, follow that link and check it out. And of course, if you haven't done so already, please like and subscribe to this podcast. It helps us keep the word out. You know, when we started, I think there were less than 10 actual fire service podcasts. I know there's a ton more now. I mean, it seems like every day there's a new podcast popping up. So we appreciate the fact that you spend time with us and you listen to us. And just to let us know that you're listening, give us a like and then subscribe so you never miss an episode. So right now, let's toss it over to Pat Dale, Terry Garrison, and Nick Brunicini, and they're going to be talking about not only the vision and strategic planning for your organization, but really how it helps shape the culture, especially if you've got a be nice culture today here on the B Shifter Podcast.
You know, I want to bounce back to your question about how do you keep momentum going and what process do you use, and listeners might find this, if you're thinking about being a fire chief, it might sound boring, but in both organizations, there was not a strategic plan that was in place, and I used a strategic planning process and then a strategic plan to lead the organization, and I think I had this fire in my belly to do that because in all the years previous, I'd been through these strategic planning processes.
Yeah.
And a consultant would come in and, we'd get up high hope and there's 3-ring binders developed and it's put on a shelf. We never talked about it again. And I didn't want to do that as a fire chief. So I wanted to make it real, include a lot of people. Out of 100 people, there was probably 30 involved in the planning process, representing every group and labor, of course. And then it was their strategic plan. And then I led us to keep it in front of all of us continually. So we had 40 items, say, in a 5-year strategic plan for the organization. Those are the most important 40 things moving forward in the next 5 years. So I said, let's in the first year, take the top 8 most important things. And by and large, what I was leading towards was let's all work on those 8 things together at the same time. The administration, labor, and the board, let's focus on those. And if we can accomplish 7 of them in the first year, you do the math, 5 years times 8 per year, you'll work towards 40 items over 5 years. So I kept it in front of us, in front of the board. This is a strategic planning item. That's why I'm asking for funding for it. That was,
Here's the objectives.
Yes. Yeah. I feel like they're broken down into, I feel like I had success doing that. So you talk about a process and how do you keep the energy moving forward? You can get the command staff fired up about, let's go work on those 8. They go away, and you know what? They're working on their email. So it takes energy from me to keep everyone focused on the most important priorities. And I worked hard on doing that, and I think I had success. So if you're talking about a process and how you keep momentum going, that comes to mind.
That's the destination. And
well, I think those plans have to become the jobs of people then. Where it's not, okay, I get to go back to what I was doing. No, what you're doing doesn't exist anymore. This is where we're going, and this is what you do now. So you're still going to worry about deployment and managing incidents and delivering resources and all that, but this is the way this looks now. So, I mean, that's kind of the change piece of it. You got to kind of get, no, we're not going back to the old way. We're going to do the new way.
Right. And you line it with the organization. It's got to match up. Right?
Yeah, it's kind of the improvement. As we slowly improve things, this is what this looks like. We're going to have to make changes over on this side and this side. Right. But I think those become less of obstacles the more the process kind of takes over. And you think, okay, this is where we want it. It's almost like the goal at the end. Yep. Like you say, okay, here's the 8-year goal. We want at least 3 people on the trucks 90% of the time and X, Y, and Z. And those are easy to benchmark. You can kind of keep track of that. And then in the after-action review process, that's where you start to validate all these changes we've made with the outcomes we're having.
Exactly.
That's the fourth step of that process, right?
Yeah, you report on it quarterly. People have to report to me on the progress.
Quarterly reports, man.
I mean, like I started out saying, it might sound boring, a strategic plan.
I get it.
But if you take it for real and take it seriously, and as leaders, put focus on it and lead the organization. Don't put it on a shelf and never talk about it. That can be a really useful tool.
What'll happen is you'll go through that process as an organization, and then you'll look up and it's 5 years later.
Right.
Yeah.
And you went, wow, okay, and this is what we've accomplished. Then you can actually say, look what we did, guys.
Yeah. Right.
Jesus, I think I need a nap.
Yeah, you know what? It was truly 40 items in a 5-year plan at the first department I was at, Graham. And before I left, we brought it up and we actually celebrated that we accomplished 70% of those 40 items in 5 years. And the consultant was going to come back and he said, that is good. That most organizations don't achieve that much. And I said, well, I want it to be trainable and repeatable because I'm going to leave here, but I want the organization to, I think it's ingrained here now. They're going to expect another one, and that's
the point where you can bring the next chief in from the organization that just went through this, that has all the experience with it to keep it going.
Exactly.
I mean, that's kind of the goal, right?
And Nick, you said it, those top 5 or 4 becomes your public information, constant statements over and over again.
Yeah.
These are our, so you have the organizational culture. Those are your values that you decide, okay, our organizational culture is based on these values. These are the actions and the behavior we're going to focus on to move in that direction.
Well,
but then you just keep sharing that over and over again.
Yeah.
They got tired of me saying, be safe, be nice, be accountable.
I say it all the time.
Well, the message that we put out is we're fast, we're well trained, and we're nice. Yep. So that's it was the PR guy says, no, you need 3 things that you're going to tell them that are one sentence, and that's who you are.
And if you break down those into tangible objectives,
that's
you got a really good strategic plan.
Yeah. If you do those 3 things, that is a full-time job as a fire chief.
You could actually go through that process, and you could do that without an expert coming in. And if you're just trying your best in a small fire,
I'm going to go on a limb and say there's 3 experts sitting at this table that know more than any consultant they're going to bring in. You guys have actually done it.
Find out where your values are, attach, and they should focus on the work.
Yes.
And the firefighters, and then set objectives to how you can do better at that every day. And that becomes your strategic plan. If you can mark it up that easily, and move forward.
I like keeping it simple, distilling it down to, so in all those animal clubs and every places I always talked about our service that they deliver is time sensitive, highly technical, and staffing intensive. And I keep it simple. I love that you would include and nice in there too.
Yeah.
But I talked about that every single time. And
say those again. I'm sorry.
That it's time sensitive. So response times matter. We need to intervene in
first 1 seconds count.
1 seconds count. Highly technical.
Core services.
Core services are highly technical.
Paramedicine, structural firefighting, technical rescue that
is highly technical, man.
100%.
Staffing intensive.
You got to have the people.
You got to have. It takes a lot of people to. Thanks. We could do that.
That's why I wanted you to say it again, because if you don't have a firefighter out in a fire station that can do exactly what he did, with that, it just falls apart. It's got to be.
It had meaning.
Anybody could be the PIO. After 4 or 5 years of this, they could take a firefighter off an ambulance. We're fast, we're well trained, we're nice. Boom, and you're like, oh wow,
I like that.
They're not the most eloquent, but they got the message across in a very enthusiastic
Succinct.
way. Oh yeah, like a puppy dog. They're like golden retrievers.
Yeah, I love it.
Covered with smoke. This is great.
There were some initiatives that we were taking that we would talk about the elevator speech, and if somebody comes up and asks you, what's your 20 to 30 second speech on the new ambulances or paramedic services or additional staffing, whatever it is, because they're the ambassadors.
Right.
The firefighters are the ambassadors for it. They have to be the ones to answer the question. So as the chief, you've got to get everybody spooled up on the information. You guys set it with the transparency part of it. Let them know what the plans are. Talk about the plans at nauseum. So they know at the grocery store when somebody corners them and starts asking about, you guys are going to increase my taxes, because
what's it going to do?
Because the troops get that. I mean, the troops get that abuse from certain elders in our community that want to take it out on them. Or how much did that fire truck cost? Or am I buying the food in your basket? Or whatever it is. Yeah. So to be able to disarm that and then come back and talk, do you know how many people we have on duty at once? And the answers you get are crazy.
Yes.
I was at a 2-station fire department where they thought we had 50 people on duty, and it's like, no, we have 7. We're barely covering it. And then you disarm the public, and they almost get to the point where then they become your fan, right? We want to create fans out there. Yeah. Let me buy you dinner.
Right.
we started with culture, is doing the culture, and then make it. You got
strategic level.
Yeah, strategically as the chief, I'm gonna change the culture of this thing. So socially, we're gonna be a little nicer to each other. Professionally, we're gonna keep our core services up high, but we're gonna be nice. So that's kind of where you think this should go. Is being nice should be part of the core services, not some added value thing. So that's kind of what I'm having difficulty with. So part of that is allowing the crew to add value is you have to empower them, right? So you asked me a question the other night. As you said, somebody asked me, why would a firefighter, talking about your 30-second thing, the elevator talk, why should a firefighter do leadership training? And I thought, well, I don't know. I thought about it for a while, and I said, well, the best answer, I think, is because it makes you a better person. Just as a human being, you interact with other people better when you go through this and you consider kind of the role of a strategic leader and what they do. And I think part of that is empowering the workforce to actually do their job. Yeah. It's just like, no. This is my first due area. This is my franchise. And this is the way I'm going to treat my customers as nice in this thing. So like allowing those people and empower them to go off and do that is a lot of people won't do it because you're giving up control, basically. Well, it's the appearance that you're giving up control because they're going to go off and do what they're going to do anyway. You got no control over what Engine 5 does at 2 in the morning. It's the officer on that truck.
They don't want to run straight.
Yeah. So how did you guys manage that piece of it and kind of especially moving forward with the expectations of because sometimes you're almost using empowerment to like get the employee where you want them and say, no, you're empowered to do these. This is what we expect from you now. Yeah. How did you guys manage that piece of it? And the effect it had on the culture, maybe.
Yeah, I'll jump in with maybe a little bit different view of because I'm familiar listening to the Phoenix led under Chief Brunicini, but you said something, Nick, that made me think of an area that I focused on a lot with the ops chief, and that was the company officers, because I felt like we could talk to the crews and have these ideas and the strategic plan and 40 important things. I want it to be everybody's plan, and we would accomplish those things or have the culture that we wanted or not based on the company officer. The ivory tower can have all of the wishes that we want. And it comes to, the tip of the spear I talked about all the time in our department. The company officer is the tip of the spear because it all comes together with the company officer when it arrives at an address point, because that's the reason for our existence. People dial 911 and we show up to an address point. Fire department, ma'am, that's the company officer.
One of the problems is we need a feather more than we need a spear.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you need a spear, but there's other times you're like, okay, no, you're the feather. Yeah, we don't want you spearing.
Yeah, true. So this, in my mind,
it's just a metaphor, but just sitting here thinking about it.
That's true.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest issues that I had going into one organization is that the chief officers tried to manage the fire stations on that level. Oh. And they wanted to control their little paradise, right? What do you call it? Their little
kingdom. Little fiefdom.
Yeah. They're like the Great Oz.
So what a fire chief tries to do, like in Phoenix, Brunicini would tell you, man, I would like to have one fire department, not 3 fire departments on a shift, 3 different departments plus 40 different fire stations. So one department, everybody focusing. So when I was creating this culture of kindness, the kindness conspiracy, I like to call it, is that I had to trust the chief officers, but the chief officers had to trust the fire captains. And there was some of them that just did not trust the fire captain. Like it was something as simple as their uniform. Well, they can't wear that uniform and they can't do this, but it got around uniforms. Like, you trust this fire captain to make a decision when the smoke's pouring out, whether to duck down and to go in and attack a fire with these people's lives. You trust them for that, but you can't trust them to make a decision at what uniform that fire.
What color socks to wear?
Well,
Right.
It's bullshit, right?
Yeah.
Or where they can wear
Yeah.
baseball hats and fire inside a fire
Yeah, all
station.
that.
It's silliness.
It's micromanagement.
Yeah, so it is. So it has to. But what you're talking about is it has to align all the way through the organization. Hold the assistant. And we had a guy. You said everybody had a boss, right? And everybody does have a boss. And you need to. Fire chief needs to kind of be. He needs to have open eyes to how things are happening within the organization, and he'll hear assistant chiefs not being nice to district chiefs not being nice to firefighters, and somewhere in there, there's a breaking point that it needs to be corrected. And I would hear about district chiefs say, "Chief, assistant chief say, you're not going to like this. This district chief did this," and I go, "Who's he work for?"
Oh.
Go fit. Do you agree with what we're saying? Do you agree with everything we've been talking about for the last year? Yeah. Well, then go out there and have a conversation with them and fix it. Whatever it's, I'm going to empower you to fix that.
Yeah.
And then that needs to go and that needs to fall down. But Brunicini did something that was so awesome is he spoke a lot about, he said what empowerment looked like. First of all, you have to define what is empowerment, because it's such a goofy word. But what does empowerment look like for a firefighter? For a firefighter, you're empowered to do the right thing for the customer. In fact, I'm going to give you a set of parameters that you can kind of think about as you're deciding to be empowered. Am I going to be empowered? Is it the right thing for the customer? Is it safe? Is it lawful? Is it within your control, and is something you can do? If it meets, and I know there's probably a couple more.
Right.
We'll show them the card up here.
Yeah,
They'll
but that
say
was
it.
pretty
That's part of
much
the
it.
act. Yeah.
And they would say, if that all lines up, then you can go do it. So there's got to, just like everything else, we assume people know what empowerment means, and we shouldn't do that. We should take the opportunity to educate them, show them what that looks like, and then when they go out and they do those kind of things, we hear about them, which you always like. Nick, you talk about after action more than anybody I've ever met in my life, because that's where you correct behavior, right?
Yeah.
You would correct it if you saw something safety,
Yeah.
and you'd have right there, you'd
Yeah.
correct it. But really, after action is where you reset the employee or reset the behavior.
Well, you actually analyze what just happened.
Yeah.
At the incident scene, and you can always improve things, but you're not going to be. You don't take it to that level. That's okay. That's more of a strategic thing. But within our existing SOPs and everything else, you had this set of critical factors. You took these actions, and we had this outcome.
So when people do these special, and it, like you said, it'd be nice if added value was embedded into every call and it wouldn't be added. It would just be service delivery. Wouldn't it be nice if we just called it service delivery?
Well, see, but I think there is an added value thing. Like an example, like in the after action review, there was a deal where like somebody's burned out, that they can't return, they can't spend the night in their house. Somebody figures out that there's a social organization that you can get vouchers to a hotel. And so after a working fire, we get these vouchers. So you can give like a family 3 free nights in a hotel.
And a taxi ride there.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a whole different thing. Yeah. Sometimes I was the wrong person to empower all the way. But so that was, I want to say that came out of an after action review. And then the fire chief heard it and said, no. We're going to do an after the fire thing. So he strategically repackaged this and said, after a fire, this is what this looks like. So within 2 months, there are boxes, cardboard boxes with the Phoenix Fire Department logo, that salvage boxes. And so that's for people, pictures, pets, and pills.
Yeah.
So if somebody's burned out, we would go through their house with them. They'd collect all the stuff they need to go spend a night in a hotel for 3 nights. And they've got the Phoenix Fire Department box.
Nick,
well, how the hell couldn't they love you after that? I mean, what did that cost? A box? A buck? I mean,
really? We're like an old couple that lived together so long that I'm trying to get to a point and you eat it. You take my point.
I'm sorry.
That's what I was saying. Is so
what was it? Dad, nabbit Alice?
Yeah. Because everything you say is true. So if added value becomes service delivery, and then beyond that becomes special, recognize those in the organization, and then have awards, have thank yous, green sheets.
Celebrate it.
Yeah.
Celebrate it.
It's so funny because you just, I love the fact that, did you know, I used to work for a guy that had your same initiative.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, exactly. Well, hey, you asked the question. I'm going to, if you throw underhand pitches, I'm going to hit them back at you.
Yeah.
Sorry, Terry.
No, it's funny.
I got you guys started to begin with, and now I can jump in whenever I want.
That's beautiful.
All right, today we'd like to thank Pat Dale, Terry Garrison, and Nick Brunicini for sharing their wisdom on the Bee Shifter podcast. If you want more of the Silverback Leadership Series, go to your subscription. It's over in all of the continuing education modules on your Blue Card site. If you're not a Blue Card subscriber, stay tuned because specifically we'll be getting that available to you sooner or later as an entire series, an entire leadership series. Have a great and safe Labor Day weekend if you're just going into the weekend. If not, hopefully you got to enjoy it. And we appreciate you listening to the Bee Shifter podcast.